Coming up on Locked On NBA Daily. All signs point to Jayson Tatum making his comeback this season, but who are the biggest winners and losers of a potential Tatum return? Meanwhile, we'll take a look at the biggest X factors over the final stretch of the season. Plus, are the Lakers pushing for LeBron James to take less on a new contract? Locked On NBA Daily starts now.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I'm Wes Goldberg. Today we're talking about the biggest X factors over the final stretch of the season and the Lakers opening the door to another season with LeBron James. We're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Look at Wes Goldberg with the pre-production, Haize. He actually put some work into our show for once.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
What's going on, people? Look, shout out to Wes Goldberg stepping it up. All-Star game got him reviving things up. Right. Look at what's happening here.
I'm following Wemby and Ant's lead here, stepping it up. Let's talk about this post-All-Star game stretch. There are a lot of signs that Jayson Tatum is planning to come back during the season. Here's more from Locked On Celtics.
I think it's pretty clear Jayson Tatum is ramping up. He is going to come back. You don't drop a trailer for your behind-the-scenes look at your rehab without planning to come back, right? There's the all of a sudden March 1st, the game against Philly gets flexed from 6 p.m. local coverage to NBC coverage at 8 p.m. It's happening. There are going to be winners and losers. So in the grand scheme of things, Tom, who's the winner? We all are.
Yeah,
we all win.
The Boston Celtics are the winner from Jayson Tatum coming back.
So again, guys, a lot of signs pointing to Jayson Tatum making his comeback next month. Over at Locked On Celtics, they do ask an interesting question there. Who wins and who loses in a Tatum comeback? Matt, I want to start with you. Take it in either direction in terms of winners or losers.
Yeah, so I think the loser, I think, is going to be their short-term seeding. Like, I think they're going to struggle a lot when he comes back. Like, I just think it's going to be really clunky and ugly. Whenever you add in a high-usage player back after any duration, it's rough. When you do it after having rebuilt the team and built an entirely new chemistry, it's even tougher. So, like, they're not going to be good. That for those first like couple of, I would imagine, like, even if they win that first game, don't overreact to it, because the Nuggets won their first one with Jokic and then went 1-4 after that. Same kind of deal. Like, they're gonna struggle when Tatum comes back. Trying to identify the loser, I think, is really difficult here, because I think the obvious answer is like Jaylen Brown. I don't know how this is going to kind of translate. Like, there's a lot of people, I think, around the league that are going to be keeping a little bit of a side eye at what's going on in Boston, not just from keeping an eye on the contenders, but also from how's this going to go with Jaylen. Seems real happy to be the guy, Haize. Like, he feels like he's finally getting the recognition that he feels he deserves. And I am very curious to see what's going to happen here when this all shakes out.
See, this is how rumors get started. And now somebody's going to take that headline. There's going to be an aggregator. Jaylen and Jayson, they're going to be there's not a single loser on the Boston Celtics. Nobody on the team loses by Jayson Tatum coming back. I know that there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be players that are going to, like, there's going to be adjustments that need to happen for sure. Could they look a little bit worse at first as they incorporate him in? That's an absolute possibility with somebody who's missed the entirety of the year. But there's nobody, in my opinion, not to take away from Matt's point, in my opinion, that is a loser on that Boston Celtics team. The goal here, what's the goal? It's to win the title. Jayson Tatum makes them a better team, a team that's already could legitimately go to the Eastern Conference Finals without Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum makes them a better team. He makes them the favorite in the Eastern Conference. There's not a single loser, in my opinion, on the Boston Celtics roster.
There's just look, there are comments from Jaylen, and I'm not like fabricating this. Like, there is like,
no, I know.
Like,
I'm not saying that.
Like there are like things going on. Like there are things that people, and I never know what to trust because it's entirely possible this is just like other people around the league trying to sow discord on a team that's a competitor to them. That's entirely possible. I will just say Jaylen has repeatedly been like, nope, it's fine. I'm totally good. Just happy to win. Just that's my guy, Jayson. And I just think that eventually you start to get tired of how people talk about you as not one of the main guys. And Jaylen has put himself on the map to be one of the main guys this year. And I think it's really hard to then just be like, yep, cool. I'll go back to being Robin. No problem. You got it. Especially when Tatum's not 100%. I'm not saying like, I don't think this is going to like implode, right? There's a gap here between there's some discomfort and it's going to detonate in a on-court spat and Jaylen Brown leaves in an emotional scene captured by Netflix. Like there's another way that this goes. I just think it's something worth at least keeping in mind that the Boston Celtics have the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference behind a formula that did not include Jayson Tatum. And we do not know what it's not plug and play as much as it may seem like.
True. Who was the finals MVP when they won the finals?
Jaylen Brown.
Okay. So and I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown doesn't enjoy being the guy, but I don't think he's going to go right back to being a Robin. And even as when he was supposed to be the Robin, he won finals MVP. So I think there's going to be, of course, some give and take naturally. And I'm not saying that maybe in the offseason we don't hear rumblings, but for the rest of this season, I think they'll be perfectly fine.
I want to read this quote from Jaylen Brown from a few weeks ago talking about, stepping up the way that he has with Jayson Tatum out. He said, quote, "I felt like I've sacrificed over the years in order for us to be a championship caliber team. And I think now we're getting to see that a little bit, what exactly I was capable of and what I was sacrificing. I think before maybe it wasn't so obvious. I think now being able to be at the helm of things and us being the second seed in the East versus last year we finished second seed in the East, it's almost been no drop off with 5 players that are essentially gone. That work from the coaching staff, the work from our leadership has been great. And I'm just trying to make myself available every single night."
And he's talked about like he talked about there's another quote about how proud he is of this Celtics team and what they've done. Like it's just interesting. It's again, there's nothing pointed in there. I'm not accusing Jaylen Brown of like trying to like I know how much he supports Tatum. He's been a great teammate for them. My thing is just largely that guys want stuff in their careers. It's okay for you to not, especially after I think you win a title. I think after you win a title, it's okay to be like, okay, what else? Like, can I get a title and
right
things? And those are questions.
Haize, one of the guys that Jaylen Brown came into the league with and looked up to as a rookie was Kyrie Irving. And what Matt just said, Kyrie did that, literally won a championship in Cleveland with LeBron and said, all right, that was cool. I want to see what I can do on my own.
And then less than 18 months later, he admitted that maybe he got a little ahead of himself and probably should have stayed with LeBron.
Very true. But Jaylen Brown, I would argue right now is a better player than Kyrie Irving has ever been.
Oh, for sure. Like it's not. And that's the thing is that I'm not saying that maybe something that isn't there with Jaylen Brown where eventually, let's say after the season, maybe he does eventually push and wants his own team. That could very well happen. I'm more so talking about in the scope of this year. And I guarantee you with the way that Kyrie Irving's careers went, if you asked him to that again, he probably would have stayed in Cleveland.
I don't think so.
I don't think he would give you a straight answer at all. That doesn't seem
well,
like
yeah, straight answer from Kyrie is,
I think he would talk about the Illuminati and then and blame it on them.
The things about questions, Haize. But I do think that there is an interesting thing that could potentially happen here because to Haize's point, the ceiling of this team, we know what it is, right? When Tatum is back, when Jaylen Brown, like there's a version of this thing where it just goes awesome. That Tatum basically steps in post Achilles, says, I'm not going to try to put on too much on my plate early on. I'll just be like souped up Anthony Simons. I'm going to take a bunch of threes. I'll make a little bit. I'll play a little bit better defense. Sorry to Baylor, Shireman, and Jordan Walsh. You're not in the rotation as much anymore. And then Jaylen Brown can keep doing Jaylen Brown things the way that he's been doing this year. And then there's the other version of it where Tatum could ideally say that he wants to do those things, but trying to play a different way than you've played your entire career is hard, right? He's been the number one guy in Boston basically the whole time. And then Jaylen Brown getting a little taste of it here. He might not want to give up a whole lot of food from his plate, Matt. So it could go potentially in both directions here, but ultimately you have to bring Tatum back though.
I mean,
if he can go.
I mean, this I think has been kind of the topic of conversation. I think Tatum's been pushing more to come back than I think the Celtics are kind of like not wanting him not to play, but just wanting him to be careful. I think they're invested in him long term. The biggest thing here is mostly what's the easiest way to fit in? Spot up and shoot, low usage, right? The problem is like the Achilles is literally going to take away that ability. The recovery rate after Achilles, the problem is like your EFG drops about 4 percentage points from before where you were at for the first 18 months of basketball play after the Achilles. That's based off a study that was published at the Sloan conference. I think it was at Stanford. So like there's like the actual drop in efficiency, right? So, and this is one of the issues is, okay, if Tatum comes back and is doing the ISO stuff and is missing those shots, how does that, again, I think the Celtics are awesome. I think they can win the title. I think this team is is incredibly coached. There's a lot of questions here, and I'll be interested to see how it works out. If Haize is right and this all goes great, it is a credit to Brown, Tatum, the medical staff, the other players, and the coaching staff. Like, it is a credit to all those guys making it work, because it's going to take everybody working together. And if they can do it, it's going to be incredible.
Tatum, obviously one of the biggest X factors over the final stretch. What other X factors are we looking at during this playoff push over the final stretch of the season? We'll talk about that next here on Locked On NBA Daily. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I'll be talking to you, companies like yours will make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked On NBA. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress work or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction possible. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We air Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. Jayson Tatum return serves as one of the biggest X factors over the final stretch of the season. And while we're on the subject of X factors, I asked you both to come up with a couple of X factors of your own that could swing the playoff race and maybe the postseason. Haize, start with you.
I'm going to go with Ayo Dosumnu with the Minnesota Timberwolves, not just because he's a former Bull, but I think he brings so much of what that team needs from a two-way player off the bench. He can fit in to just about any lineup that they want to run. Gets out in transition. He can force and start the break as well. I think Ayo, as we go through, and we always know the Minnesota Timberwolves always seem to be a better team after the All-Star break and go on that final push. Ayo Dosumnu could be a big X factor for that Wolves team here.
What's like the most that he can, how much does he actually impact things? Like
a lot. A player that can score 16 to 17 points without needing a bunch of shots because he's so efficient. Defensively, he can impact the defensive side of the ball. He can make other players better in transition. Ayo Dosumnu can impact a lot of different areas for a team.
Yeah, I think he's awesome. I love him. I think he's great. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly he's going to do for the Wolves is going to like take them up a way higher level. Is he taking minutes that like less minutes for Mike Conley and Dante DiVincenzo so the defense is better? Is it like being able to provide another spot up shooter? Is it fewer minutes for Bones Highland, who's been really good for them?
It's all those things. I think you're looking for one thing, but yeah, he's a good spot up shooter. He can hit the three at an efficient rate at over 40%. He can play with or spot in for Dante DiVincenzo and Mike Conley. He's better than Mike Conley in every facet of the game at this point in time. So you're talking about where he can impact, literally impacts every level.
No, I hear you. I'm not questioning like how good Ayo is. It's for me, it's like the Wolves are so good anyway. Like they're top 10 offense defense already. Yeah. And I think the plus side is probably like having Jaden McDaniels and Ayo get you back to closer to what you were when you had Nikhil, when it was like, we've got two elite wing defenders that we can put out there. So don't mind that one. I don't know if it's gonna actually make an impact because the Wolves are just like, oh, you thought we were gonna be good. No. And then we're like, oh, so you guys are not very good. No, we're really great. Oh, so you're great. No, we suck. Like it's constant with the Wolves. Mine's Kristaps Porzingis. So Golden State's 6th in defense. Okay. Golden State is number 1 in 3-point rate. Golden State actually is probably pretty good. They have been without Steph Curry. Their record with Curry is actually excellent. Now, I don't know what to expect from Porzingis. I don't know how you expect anything from Porzingis, given this condition that he's got that first, kept him out most of last year, may have been the reason why the Celtics didn't make it back to the finals. I don't know what to expect from him, but if he can get on the floor, all right, Steph is still stuffing and Draymond is still Draymoning a little bit, and you got Porzingis, you're not far off from having enough guys that could probably make a little bit of a push here. You settled the Kuminga stuff, so that's no longer awkward. You're actually able to kind of focus. Like Curry said, watch out when we get healthy. I think everybody says that, but Curry rarely talks anything. I'm not saying that the Warriors are going to make this huge run, but I do think that there's a possibility they wind up being more dangerous. And when we get into the playoffs and a lot of these teams above them have such inconsistencies, I do kind of wonder if Golden State can play spoiler to a lot of teams in the Western Conference playoffs.
Hayes, I want to jump in here because you've been on record a few times on this show talking about how old the Warriors are and how they can't be trusted. They trade out their most athletic young player, Jonathan Kuminga, who wasn't really part of the rotation, but still, you get rid of him, and then you get older, more injury, less available, prone, whatever, with Kristaps Porzingis. Are you buying this as an X factor?
I mean, it's an X factor by the definition, because the X, is he going to be on the court? Isn't he? That's the first thing. Like, we know what Porzingis can be when he's on the court. He's a damn good basketball player. But even if he is able to get on the court at some point over the last 30-ish, however many games the Warriors have, is he going to be healthy in the playoffs? Is he going to be able to stay healthy for a full playoff series? Like, there's so many questions with just Porzingis' ability that almost makes him an X factor alone. I still think the ceiling of the Warriors is very low. I don't see them as making it out the second round of the playoffs. And that's if everything goes perfectly well for them with matchups and everything else. That's just where I'm at with the Warriors right now.
I do like how Wes is like, we don't even know if he's like, Kristaps Porzingis may not be available. Well, they weren't playing Kuminga at all. It's literally, you can only get better here because the question is 0 or a plus. That's all.
Speaking of centers being available, if I can lob an X factor of my own out here, because to both of your point, we don't know how far the Warriors can go, even if the Porzingis thing works out, best case scenario. I think we kind of know what the Spurs' ceiling here is as a true blue title contender. And to me, it comes down to Victor Wembanyama. That's a good roster. It's not just a Wemby carried team. But Victor Wembanyama is averaging 29 minutes per game. We know the availability concerns. As other star players ramp up their minutes in the postseason, are we expecting that from Victor Wembanyama? And if he does start playing 34, 35 minutes per game in the postseason, I mean, what does that look like now? Because he's already being this impactful in less than 30 minutes per game, Hayes. Like, is it crazy to call Victor Wembanyama an X factor as a star player who, I don't know, could he potentially, depending on what his first postseason looked like, maybe swing a title race?
I mean, that's difficult to label him an X. I see what you're doing and try to get him to be labeled as an X factor. But to me, he's still the driving force. So I can't get behind naming him X factor. But I understand the angle you're taking there.
Matt,
how are the Spurs this good?
You mean when me and Wes were telling you that their depth players were pretty good, and you spent the first 3 months of the season saying that the depth players weren't all that good? Yeah, that's how they're that good, Matt.
No, but I'm genuinely asking. If you look at it, I think Julian Champagne's good. right? He's a great shooter.
Mhm.
Okay. Like De'Aaron Fox is shooting. This is ridiculous. Fox is shooting 51% from mid range.
Which is crazy.
That's stupid. That is insane.
Those are Jaylen Brown numbers.
Devin Vassell is shooting 49% from mid range. Their profile is really kind of weird, where it's like I don't really know what to make of it. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just like really curious to see like. You could tell me anything. You say the Spurs. You could tell me the Spurs lost in the first round because their guys were too inexperienced and they got beat by a more experienced team. And I'd be like, all right, that makes sense. You could be like, they won the title, and I'd be like, oh, Wemby's a thing. Okay, like the ceiling and floor I think for that team is extremely high. Instead of availability or injuries, I'll go to Cleveland and I'll go to this, and that's Kenny Atkinson and his rotations and the lineups that he chooses to play. Every metric says the Sam Merrill is a positive for them, every single one. But there is a formula here for them to actually be able to put no weak points on the floor in a playoff series, but they got to get to it. The numbers with Donovan Mitchell next to Jalen Tyson, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen are preposterous. They are ridiculous because Tyson gives you a great perimeter defender who can also shoot next to Donovan, next to the rim protection that the other two provide. Like, I've looked at a lot of stuff over the last 24 hours. I wrote a big article about title contenders. They are sucking me back in here. My base instinct is just like James Harden, no. James Harden, no. Playoffs, no. James Harden, no. Wes, one of the few teams that breaks a lot of the historical outliers for winning the title was the 2004 Pistons. Do you know what the Pistons did at the deadline? They traded for Rasheed Wallace. And I am genuinely wondering if James Harden can be that for this Cleveland Cavaliers team.
The first time James Harden has ever been compared to Rasheed Wallace, as far as I know, Haize.
Yeah, I mean, other than the ball spot, yeah, that's probably about all you can really compare them to. But yeah,
look, the Cavs. I've said this; they were trending in the right direction before Harden got there. They were number 1 in the league in offensive rating over the past month before the Harden deal. That's only going to get better since acquiring James Harden. Defensively, they're starting to flirt with top 10 again. They're getting healthy. Jalen Tyson is giving them the thing that they didn't get, that they thought they were getting last trade deadline with DeAndre Hunter. He's really filled in and solidified their minutes on the wing. The Cavs have to be considered a contender in the Eastern Conference. I don't think there's any question about it, but the Harden X factor, I think, is looming because it always is in the playoffs with him. But to your point, Matt, I think the Kenny Atkinson rotations thing is a real big X factor because we did see that kind of bite them in the playoffs last year.
Imagine how good they'll be when they have LeBron James next year.
And that will serve as part of our segue because Rob Pelinka has said he wants LeBron not to retire a Cav, but as a Laker, it could come with a catch. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. We talk a lot about title contenders on this show, and if you're already thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of the year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick cash in, but can also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Plus, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Celtics and Locked On Lakers for more on today's top stories. Let's get to this report from ESPN that says that the Lakers would welcome back LeBron James if he wants to play again this season. But, guys, there may be a catch to this. His next salary figures to be a big part of this equation. The Lakers have more than $50 million in cap space this summer, which is about what LeBron James is making now. So the question becomes, would LeBron take less to potentially return to LA? Would the Lakers be happily willing to use all of their cap space to bring back LeBron James? Now they have his bird rights and all these things. That's part of it. But they would only have that cap space if LeBron walked away. And in that case, should the Lakers prioritize bringing back LeBron or maybe signing a restricted free agent who fits Luka's timeline? This report indicates that maybe they're interested in somebody like Tari Eason or Peyton Watson. Haize, how do you think the Lakers should play this?
They should go after whatever improves their team and best and puts the best pieces around Luka Dončić, who they're building around. And if they can get a Peyton Watson, I think that fits really good. I think that should be their focus. No knock on LeBron or where he's at or anything like that. He's still a very productive player and still a dominant player at times, right? Like, but I think you can't keep delaying this. You need to build this team around Luka. If you really want to make this thing a championship contender, you have to build it around Luka, and that may leave LeBron on the outside looking in.
This I understand why we're doing this because it's the Lakers. I get it. This segment is preposterous. This segment is ridiculous. This is fake. This is all fake. He's gone. Like everyone knows he's gone. Like everyone knows he's gone. Like I would put Cleveland at like 80%, retirement at 10%, the Lakers at like 5%.
What's the other 5? Man?
Yeah, what's the other 5%?
The other 5% is he actually goes somewhere where he can win the title. How about that? I think the big thing here is the Anthony Davis trade was made in the Luka Dončić trade was made in the cover of night without consulting anybody. After 2 years of constant conflict between Clutch Sports and the Lakers ownership and front office about whose fault the Russell Westbrook trade was, about not adding more talent, about making Anthony Davis play the position that he needs to play, all of these things. It happened in the cover of night. Nobody was consulted. It just happened. And that was a signature. That was a moment of like, we are done. We are out of the LeBron James business. Like making that decision is we are out of the LeBron James business. If LeBron opts out, are the Lakers re-signing him this summer? Do they come back in with a 2-year deal? Probably not. Probably not.
That's what this report is basically saying, Matt, is that they would be open to it. So to your point, is this them covering up? They're saying, hey, we would love LeBron to come back. If you're a Lakers fan who also loves LeBron James, this isn't on us if he doesn't come back.
Right. Exactly. I mean, this is just a PR move. That's all this is. He's not coming back. Like this has been written over and over and over again. Tim McMahon on ESPN was telegraphing this all weekend. Everybody knows it's going to be a retirement tour in Cleveland, back where it started. It's going to be make $1 bazillion for Nike. It's going to have a lot of great moments. The stuff about him being like, I don't know, I might just retire. You lying liar who lies. He's a lying liar who lies. He is definitely going to do a retirement tour. There's too much money. And honestly, I don't think he really needs it. I do think that he does feel that he owes it to the fans to give them that moment to like say goodbye.
I agree. Well, we'll be coming back. We'll be back tomorrow. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.